Okay, so on this lesson, we're going to talk about rate and ratio tables. And first off, we're going to talk about how you can complete a rate or ratio table using scale factor. Okay, and scale factor is what you multiply or divide by. Okay, so scale factor. That's one way that you can complete a rate or ratio table. So it's what you multiply or divide by. So for instance, if I had this table, let's see, we'll say the number of pizzas to guests. Okay, so here's our table. All right, here's our table, and we'll say that for every 2 pizzas we buy, we can feed 9 guests. Okay, so for every 2 pizzas we buy, we can serve 9 guests. So we'll say 2 large pizzas will feed 9 people. How many pizzas do we need for 27 to feed 27 people? So what we can do here is we can use scale factor to help us figure out our missing value. So what I mean is we're going to look at this. What do I multiply or divide? Multiply or divide, that's the important thing for scale factor. Multiply or divide. So what do I multiply or divide 9 by to get 27? Well, I multiply by 3. So if I can multiply 9 times 3 to get 27, I'm going to do the same thing to keep it equivalent. I'm going to do 2 times 3, and 2 times 3 is 6. So to feed 27 people, I would need 6 pizzas. So I use scale factor to help me figure out my missing value. 9 times 3 was 27, so 2 times 3 was 6. Notice that scale factor, what you multiply or divide by, has to be used on both. Okay, you can't just use it on one. You need to keep it equivalent or equal. All right, so let's look at what if we had the number of DVDs. Here's our next table. The number of DVDs and how much they cost. So let's say that 5 DVDs cost $40. Okay, well, that means that 1 DVD, or let's say 10 DVDs. 10 DVDs cost how much? Well, what do I do to 5 to get 10? I multiply it by 2. So I need to do 40 times 2 also to get 80. So here's my scale factor, 2. I'm multiplying by 2. And what if I multiply the top by 2, then I have to multiply the bottom by 2 also. It has to be the same thing in order to keep these equivalent. So if 5 DVDs cost $40, then 10 DVDs is going to cost $80. Let's look at another example. What about, here's my table. What if I gave you the number of people and how many cups of pecans we would need? So let's say 24 people eat 6 cups of pecans. Well, how many people will eat? Let me finish this table, sorry. Well, let's see. How many cups of pecans would we need for 8 people? So 24 people eat 6 cups of pecans. If I have 8 people, how many cups of pecans will they eat? Well, what do I do to 24 to get 8? I divide it by 3. So if I divide it by 3, I need to do the same thing here. Divide it by 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. So this is using scale factor, what you multiply or divide by each time to figure out your missing value. The other way we can do it is by using the unit rate. And we know from our previous lesson that unit rate is the one for the price or the amount for every one. So per one. Remember, uno. Okay, uno, unit, very similar. Okay, and uno means one. So what if I gave you the table? Looks like this. The number of CDs to the total amount in dollars. Okay, so what if I told you that it cost $50 for 5 CDs? How much, and then I want you to find out how much money it costs for 30. No, we'll even say, let's say 32 CDs. Well, I can't use scale factor on this one because 5 times a whole number does not give me 32. There's not a pretty number I can multiply by to get 32. So what I need to do is when I can't find a pretty scale factor, a whole number to multiply or divide by, I need to find the unit rate. Okay, so that means that if $50 for 5 CDs, then I want to know one CD cost how much money. So 50 divided by 5 gets me 10. Okay, now that I've done that, I found the unit rate. I can say, well, 1 times 32 gets me 32. So 10 times 32 would get me 320. So 32 CDs would cost me $320. So basically what we're doing here is if you can't find a pretty scale factor to use, a whole number to multiply or divide by, then you need to find a unit rate, and that unit rate will then help you use a scale factor. Okay, let's try this example. An ostrich can run 70 miles in 35 minutes. Okay, so in order to figure out how far that the ostrich can run in 17 minutes, I'm going to need to find the unit rate because there's not a pretty number that I can divide 35 by to get 17. Okay, so the unit rate would be how many miles can they run in 1 minute. So 70 divided by 35 gets me 2. So the ostrich can run 2 miles in 1 minute. Now that I know the unit rate, I can figure out using scale factor. I know 1 times 17 will get me 17. So I can do 2 times 17 to get me my missing number of miles. And 2 times 17 is 34. So an ostrich can run 70 miles in 35 minutes, or 2 miles in 1 minute, or 34 miles in 17 minutes. So the ostrich runs a 2-minute mile, basically. That's a really fast ostrich. But this is unit rate. So we first talked about scale factor. Okay, using scale factor is what you multiply or divide by. If there's a pretty number you can multiply or divide by, use it. Scale factor is easy. Unit rate, if there's not a pretty number that you can multiply or divide by to find your missing value, then you need to find the unit rate and then use that unit rate to figure out your missing value. Okay, so that's how we complete a rate or ratio table.